I walked into his office carrying a cupcake while he was already carving up my bonus. It was vanilla, cheap, dry around the edges, the kind of cupcake you buy in a plastic box from the grocery store because someone remembered a birthday too late. According to the office calendar, which I managed, it was his birthday. So I smiled. Not because I cared. Because timing matters. For the man who signs our checks, I said. He laughed through his nose, the sound wet and smug, then waved me toward the chair across from his desk. Sit down, he said. I've got something fun for you. Fun, apparently, was a printed copy of my quarterly performance report. He had marked it up like a schoolteacher with too many highlighters. Yellow, blue, pink. Circles around numbers. Notes in the margins. Underlines beneath figures he wanted me to notice. I had brought in 61% of the company's revenue that quarter. Somehow, on the report in front of him, I had only been credited with 41. My biggest account had been shifted into shared credit with Chad. Of course it had. My boss took the plastic knife from the cupcake box and began cutting into the frosting like he was opening negotiations. Payroll is going to hold your commission for now, he said. Just while we reconcile a few discrepancies. He shoved a bite of cake into his mouth before adding, Illegal also wants to review the commission language in your contract. You know how this stuff goes. I looked at the smear of red frosting on his lower lip. I did know how it went. I knew because 3 months earlier, I had found the little trapdoor they had forgotten existed. It was buried inside the renewal terms for the firm's largest client, the account everyone in that building liked to talk about as if it had fallen out of the sky and landed on the company's lap. I had negotiated that contract personally over 3 straight weekends while my manager was at a golf retreat calling it executive networking. Clause 14b. Point of contact transition. If the primary representative changed, the renewal paused until the new representative formally assumed responsibility and the client confirmed acceptance. Plain English, if I was no longer their contact, the contract stopped moving. The client would have to decide who they trusted. And I already knew the answer. But I did not tell him that. I just looked at the frosting on his face and said, I'm sure it will work itself out. Then I excused myself. I went back to my desk, opened my laptop, and sent 2 emails. One to my attorney. Subject line, moving forward with new representation. While payroll was pretending to forget my commission, I had been building something nobody in that office had bothered to see. I had rented a tiny office under my maiden name. I had formed an LLC. I had registered a domain. I had set up a private CRM. I had hired a finance coordinator from a competitor, a woman who hated her old workplace enough to accept half her salary and twice the purpose. And because I believe in being prepared, I had also bought the domain for Burford Strategies with the word sucks attached to the end. Just in case. By Monday morning, everything was already in motion. I came in late. No makeup. No coffee. No apology. Just a thumb drive in my pocket and a quiet face. Chad waved from across the bullpen like we were teammates. The CEO's assistant tried to catch me near the kitchen to ask about a quarterly deck. I nodded, smiled, and let everyone keep talking. At 10:07 a.m., the client's internal PR team sent the email. They would not be renewing with Burford Strategies. They thanked the firm for 5 years of service. They announced they were moving to a boutique agency with sharper insight and better alignment. For 2 seconds, the office went perfectly still. Then chairs rolled back. Slack started flashing. Someone whispered, "Oh, what the hell?" loud enough for half the floor to hear. Chad stood up, mouth opening and closing like he had forgotten how words worked. My boss, still crusted with birthday frosting at the edge of his beard, slammed his office door so hard the frame rattled. I sat at my desk, opened a browser, typed in the Burford domain I had purchased, and smiled. The first person to cry was not my boss. It was Kim from PR. Kim sat 2 rows behind me. She wore soft pink sweaters, drank peppermint tea, and said sorry to printers when they jammed. When the client announcement landed in her inbox, she froze mid-sip and said, very clearly, "Oh shit." Her hand shook on her mouse. "That's our account," she said. "That's our client." Not anymore. Most of the team still had not put the pieces together. Burford Strategies had one real pillar left. One account holding up the entire revenue pyramid. I had built it from cold calls, strategy decks, relationship maps, and late nights in conference rooms while Chad went to networking events and returned smelling like whiskey and borrowed confidence. Now the account was gone. And they had not slipped away quietly. They had announced it. I helped them write the statement. Values misalignment was my phrase. I knew exactly where that line would land when the trade newsletters picked it up on Monday morning. I had also drafted a LinkedIn post for their VP of Growth. By the time our office printer began coughing out panicked copies of a client retention plan, that post was already spreading. By 10:15, the conference room was locked. I was not invited in, but I could see them through the frosted glass. My boss was pacing. Legal was leaning over a laptop. HR looked like she had forgotten how to breathe. Chad was there too, wearing the Q4 Closer hoodie he had ordered for himself after I landed 3 enterprise deals and let him put his name on the pitch decks. He looked like a frat boy at a funeral. I opened Slack and typed into the general channel. Just a reminder, commissions are how you retain talent, not how you threaten it. 3 reactions appeared. Then 11. Then the message vanished. Deleted by admin. So I posted it again. This time, I attached a screenshot of the missing commission from my paycheck and a time-stamped email to payroll from Friday afternoon that still showed as unread. 2 minutes later, my email stopped working. 3 minutes after that, my keycard was revoked. 5 minutes later, they sent someone to walk me out. They sent a junior HR girl who looked like she might cry before she reached my desk. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "They just told me to." "You can tell them I'm leaving," I said. "But not because they made me." She blinked. "Are you resigning?" I handed her a folder. Inside was my formal resignation, a copy of the email chain, and a signed confirmation from my new agency listing my title. Founder and Managing Partner. Before I left, I looked around the floor one last time. Cubicles. Fluorescent lights. Dust on fake plants. A coffee machine that always smelled burned. That place used to feel like a ladder. Now it looked like a coffin built out of PowerPoint decks and passive-aggressive mugs. I walked out without looking back. The best part had not happened yet. They still did not know who else was leaving with me. Tuesday morning, I woke up to 37 unread messages. 5 from LinkedIn. 16 from former coworkers. 1 from a college roommate who had ignored me for 8 years and suddenly wanted to grab coffee to discuss career transitions. The rest were from clients. Most were careful. A few were annoyed in the polite corporate way. But one message mattered. We would love to hear your thoughts on strategy without the corporate filter. That was the one. I did not answer immediately. Silence has value when used properly. While Burford was trying to patch holes in a ship already taking on water, I was stacking lifeboats. Each one looked very much like a 6-figure contract. Here is the thing they never understood. At Burford, I was not only building revenue. I was building loyalty. Quietly. Deliberately. I never treated assistants like furniture. I never dismissed interns. I gave designers credit in meetings. I sent thank you notes to analysts who cleaned up messy data at midnight. Not because I was sweet. Not because I wanted to be loved. Because I knew what was coming. When the room catches fire, people remember who handed them water and who watched them burn. So when I left, they started coming with me. First came Miguel, the data lead who once fixed an analytics issue at 2 in the morning while a CMO yelled about dashboard visibility. He messaged me that night. I'm done being blamed for other people's lies. Where do I send my resume? Then Arushi from strategy. Then Lexi from copy. Then, with beautiful timing, 3 clients. All of them said some version of the same sentence. We did not realize you were the one holding everything together. They were right. Burford sold metrics. I built relationships. Chad was out golfing with prospects while I was learning their spouses' names, their favorite bourbon, the weekend their kid got into Penn State, and the exact concern they would never say out loud in a meeting. By Thursday, my agency had contracts, a shared drive, a Slack workspace, and one brilliant graphic designer in Croatia who charged $12 an hour and somehow made our launch look like we had been around for 5 years. Meanwhile, Burford's website went strangely blank. Their client list disappeared. Their blog vanished. Then came the thread. An anonymous account with a pixelated frog avatar posted on Twitter. How to lose your agency's soul in 90 days. It was a story about greed, gaslighting, unpaid commissions, and one woman who refused to disappear. There were screenshots, Slack messages, payroll disputes, HR emails flagged for delay. The thread ended with a link to my agency. By noon, it had 40,000 likes. By 2, my phone rang from a number I did not recognize. It was the CEO's assistant. She did not ask me to come back. She said, they're in crisis mode. Chad is crying in the copy room. Legal is panicking. I'd like to interview with your agency. I looked at my phone, took a sip of wine, and said, we'll be in touch. By Friday, the bleeding was public. A Reddit thread appeared in a marketing forum. Has anyone else worked at Burford Strategies, or is it just me? The comments were vicious. They used to be sharp. Now it's just chaos and men in vests. Worked there 11 months. Still waiting for my final paycheck. Their biggest client left last week. Definitely not a coincidence. Rumor is their head of enterprise quit and took half the place with her. That last comment hit more than 1,000 upvotes in 6 hours. The real damage came when Adweek called. Not me. Them. One of their journalists had been watching LinkedIn and noticed half their employees had switched on open to work banners. The article came out Saturday morning. What happens when you undervalue talent? The quiet collapse of Burford strategies. Front page. Full feature. No paywall. They used a blurry photo of my former boss mid-blink at a conference from years earlier. The subheading was cleaner and crueler than anything I could have written myself. Sources say the firm failed to reward the executive responsible for its largest accounts, who has since launched a boutique competitor now attracting former Burford clients. They did not name me. They did not have to. By then, I was 3 contracts deep with clients who used to need 3 approval layers just to request AQ for metrics review. Now they were messaging me directly at midnight. You are a godsend. We should have moved sooner. You make us feel like a priority again. Then came Chad. He emailed me. Emailed, like it was 2015. Hey. Look, we had our differences, but maybe we could meet for a drink. You've got momentum, and I'm sure you'll land on your feet. Maybe we could talk about teaming up. I did not reply. I forwarded it to my team. Subject line: team building exercise. Spot the parasite. Lexi sent back a GIF of a raccoon chewing through a power cord. Arushi wrote one word. Blocked. Then something unexpected arrived at my apartment. A plain envelope. No return address. Inside was a handwritten note on Burford letterhead and a check for $38,200. The exact amount they had decided to forget. The note said, "We hope this resolves any outstanding matters. Best of luck." I stared at the check for a long time. I did not cash it. Not yet. I wanted to do something better with it. Something petty. Something public. And the opportunity was already waiting. 2 weeks later, Burford was scheduled to sponsor a local leadership summit. They always paid for a booth, swag bags, speaking slots, branded banners, all of it. But they had made one small mistake. The booth name they wanted, Brand Forward, was not theirs. It was mine. I had registered it weeks earlier. So I paid for the spot they thought they owned. Prime floor placement. Right in the center. I called Miguel. Let's build a shrine, EI said. To what? To what they forgot. The summit smelled like stale ambition and expensive cologne. Everywhere you looked, there were sales guys in Allbirds and Patagonia vests talking about disruption while recovering from the night before. Artificial intelligence startups with no clients. Branding agencies with lowercase logos. Bowls of sad candy no one wanted. Then there was our booth. Matte black backdrop. White lettering. Remember who built your brand. No flashing screens. No cheap pens. No desperate QR code jungle. Just presents. Instead of handing out brochures, we handed out fake pay stubs designed to look exactly like Burford's payroll portal. Commission: $0. Status: under review. The faces people made when they read them were worth the printing cost. Lexi stood behind the table wearing sunglasses like security. Miguel built a looping video called Case Studies in Forgetfulness. It showed animated client accounts moving away from legacy agencies and into ours. Every few seconds, another dot jumped ship. The final slide said, "We do not poach. We rescue." Around noon, the energy in the room changed. Burford's executive team had arrived. You could feel the panic before you saw the polos. Chad noticed me first. His face twitched like he had bitten foil. He leaned toward the man beside him and whispered something, then tried to stroll past our booth like he was relaxed. His eyes told the truth. Then my old boss appeared. No cupcake this time. Just a clenched jaw and a face drained of color. He stopped when he saw the backdrop. Then the pay stubs. Then the woman standing beside me. Their biggest former client's VP of operations. She and I were laughing about dogs and bourbon. Not business. Which made it worse. He started walking toward us with that stiff, angry posture men get when they want to yell but no too many people are watching. I got there first. "Mike," I called. "I was hoping you'd come by. We have something for you." He froze. I handed him one of the mock pay stubs. He took it automatically. Old habits. He looked down, read it, and paused. That was all the photographers needed. What Mike did not know was that we had hired two of them. One was pretending to cover the event independently. One was already part of the summit's media team. The photo spread before the weekend was over. Mike from Burford holding a $0 commission slip in front of the booth that should have been his. The caption wrote itself. "When you forget to pay her, but she remembers everything." That weekend, our website crashed from traffic. By Monday, 6 more clients had scheduled intro calls. Chad posted a LinkedIn article called "Leadership is Knowing When to Let Go," with a photo of himself hiking alone. His mother liked it. Nobody else did. The following Monday, my phone buzzed before sunrise. "Miguel, you awake? Check your inbox. And Twitter. And Slack. Actually, brace yourself." I sat up, heart thudding. The email subject line read, "Confidential Burford leak. Do not forward." Attached was a zip file from a burner Gmail account. The body said one sentence. "They tried to pin it all on you. Thought you should see what they're saying behind closed doors." I paused before opening it. Then I dragged the folder into a secure sandbox. What I found made me both sick and strangely calm. Internal memos. Meeting recordings. Slides from the executive channel. They had launched an internal reputation recovery plan called Project Phoenix. The core strategy was simple. Reframe my departure as sabotage by a disgruntled former employee. Plant doubts about my mental stability. Leak selected Slack messages to suggest emotional outbursts. Pitch a media story about what happens when companies overinvest in one difficult star performer. They had a full analysis on me. Strengths: client loyalty, industry reputation, strategic thinking. Weaknesses: emotional, possible NDA exposure, no formal MBA. Opportunities: undermine credibility with select clients, pressure former employees to remain quiet. Threats: she is smarter than we thought. She is winning. That line did not make me angry. Clients received calm, careful nudges. If anyone asks about my departure, you are welcome to say I have been nothing but professional. If anyone suggests otherwise, I have records. Our new hires saw the Project Phoenix files and got very quiet in the dangerous way. Even Kim from PR, Soft Pink Sweater Kim, posted a cryptic tweet. Funny how people love saying mental health matters until someone stops being useful to them. Incorporated magazine picked it up the next day. Then the real blow landed. That Friday, a Wired journalist contacted me. The same journalist Burford had tried to pitch their unstable former employee angle to. I've seen the deck, Ishi said. All of it. Anonymous source. Do you want to comment before we run it? I said nothing for 5 seconds. Then I said, only if I can write the last paragraph. She paused. Done. I opened a blank document and wrote one sentence. They did not lose me because I snapped. They lost me because they assumed I would stay quiet. The article landed like a match in dry grass. The ghost in the pipeline, how Burford's strategies tried to bury its best employee and dug its own grave. It was elegant. Brutal. Properly sourced. Worse for them, it was accurate. The journalist pieced together the missing commissions, the deleted Slack messages, the private strategy calls, and Chad's claim that I had been emotionally volatile after a breakup. Small correction. I had broken up with Chad twice. Both times, he cried into a Shake Shack napkin. The article ended with my line in bold. They did not lose me because I snapped. They lost me because they assumed I would stay quiet. By lunch, every marketing forum worth reading had pinned it. But the moment I remember most was not the article. It was walking back into Burford one final time. I was not invited. I came as a client representative. One smaller account had not moved over yet. Their contract still had 2 months left, and they wanted an external audit. Guess who they requested? Me. I walked through the glass doors like a ghost in good tailoring. The receptionist blinked twice. Can I help you? Scheduled client audit, I said. Mike should be expecting me. He was not. I made it 3 feet into the conference room before the temperature changed. Mike stood at the head of the table. He looked hollow. Pale. Smaller than I remembered. The kind of man who used to speak in borrowed LinkedIn quotes and now had nothing left to steal. He did not say my name. He just stared. I plugged in my laptop. The first slide appeared. Audit findings. Brand risk. Talent loss. Institutional rot. Nobody moved. Then I began. Slide by slide, I walked them through the damage. 7 major accounts gone. Staff turnover at 38% and rising. Social sentiment collapsing after the Wired story. Recruitment emails going unanswered. Client confidence falling in real time. Mike tried to interrupt on slide 6. I did not let him. I'm not here for feedback, I said. This is not a brainstorm. It's an obituary. Someone across the table swallowed too loudly. Then I reached the final slide. 1 sentence. Do not burn bridges you forgot I helped you build. I closed my laptop. Pushed in my chair. The client has asked me to take over the account after this quarter, I said. If you need transition support, have Chad email me. Assuming he is still here. Then I left. No grand speech. No dramatic exit. Just the soft sound of my heels across the marble floor they once told me I was lucky to walk on. The next day, the client transferred early. 2 more followed. Then the dominoes fell fast. 2 weeks later, a calendar invite appeared in my inbox. Industry Leadership Panel, Women Founders on the Rise. Host, the same summit that had once let Burford headline. The note said, "We would love to feature your story. A keynote spot has just opened." I did not ask who dropped out. I knew. By then, Burford's name had become a warning people whispered in bathrooms at conferences. Executives said it carefully, like saying it too loudly might infect their own agencies. People reached out every day. They had almost taken a job there. They were relieved they had waited. They had always known I was the real talent. People love to recognize you after the inverse clears. Then the final crack appeared. A junior analyst from Burford posted anonymously. They told me to fake numbers so a client would not notice the budget was gone. I quit. A day later, I got an offer from the woman they called unstable. Best decision of my life. Attached was a screenshot of the offer letter. From my agency. By then, we had 15 employees, 7 clients, and a 6-month wait list. I paid every person above market. I gave them profit share. Unlimited time off. Therapy stipends. Not because I wanted applause. Because I remembered. I remembered what it felt like to be told I was difficult for asking to be paid what I earned. I remembered the little payroll mistakes that always seemed to land on my side of the ledger. I remembered the smirks. I remembered standing in a room full of men in Patagonia vests while they told me I lacked executive polish after I had landed a $32 million retainer. And I remembered the cupcake. That sad grocery store cupcake. The one they gave me instead of my bonus, while quietly discussing whether they needed someone more scalable. So I cashed the $38,200 check. Then I split it evenly among my team as a forget-me-not bonus. The direct deposit memo said the same thing for everyone. For the times you were not seen until now.